I am a homicidal maniac.
Do you have a lawyer?
Allah is my lawyer right now.
Are you
He's speaking for me?
Are you going to get a lawyer?
Pervert lady. That's what child molesters get.
I think Jeremy and I would have done it again if given the opportunity.
Do you have any regrets?
I have no regrets.
First on the list is 5th Judicial District Court at Des Moines, Iowa. There, 39-year-old Randall Moore faces trial for kidnapping and taking Teresa Lynch, his estranged wife, hostage. During the standoff that ensued between him and the police, he fired 2 rounds, hitting one officer in the hand.
303 Adam, I've been hit. Okay, 303 Adam's been hit, officer down.
His next shot was a killing bullet for Teresa Lynch. He argued that his rationale for murdering her was because she refused him access to his son, who was at daycare at the time of the event. Randall Moore was accused and convicted of first-degree kidnapping, sexual abuse, and murder of Teresa Lynch. He was also charged with the attempted murder of a police officer. While being sentenced, he was confronted with an outburst from his mother-in-law.
What you did to my daughter, Teresa Ann Marie Lynch, was evil, hateful, and despicable. You are now dead and rotting and repulsive to me.
An unrepentant Moore does not spare his victim's mother as he interrupts with a verbal attack.
Read the journal she wrote. She hated you.
Thank you, Judge.
She hated you.
Thank you.
You're a loser.
And even yet, he has even worse to offer.
I have not 1 ounce of remorse for Teresa Ann's death. All you had to do is let me see my kid. Now you're never going to see her again.
But there's no chance he's winning this. Moore received 3 life sentences for the murder of and other crimes against Teresa Lynch, plus 25 years for the attempt on the officer's life. Next up is a hearing at the Douglas County Superior Court, Douglas County, Georgia, where Zahara Fakir is facing charges of armed robbery, burglary, and murder. She is accused of fatally stabbing 66-year-old Jerry Wheeler, who was making dinner in his home when he was attacked. Wheeler's body was discovered by his son, a Douglas County sheriff deputy. There was no evidence to suggest that Fakir was familiar with Wheeler or had any apparent motive to murder him. Fakir's attitude at her initial court appearance was mainly one of indifference to the charges before her.
I understand that this courthouse is a cursed courthouse. Yes, I understand.
Fakir launches her first salvo of odd responses to the judge's questions.
And if you are judging me, you're not God-fearing, Allah will have his vengeance on you, and everyone else in here is not God-fearing.
But far from reacting, the judge simply continues with court processes. Fakir is not falling back. No one is certain of what flood the defendant is talking about, so the court proceeds.
Allah is my lawyer right now, and if you do not release me, Allah will have his vengeance on you.
Although the judge seems to have little interest in indulging Fakir, she still has more where it came from.
Now, I better be released from that Masonic courthouse.
The judge patiently explains as he answers Fakir's inquiries.
Grand jury will meet and it will determine whether or not to proceed with this case. Do you understand that?
Fakir then turns on a news station in the courtroom.
Fox 5, really? Like the Illuminati Reptilian News Channel, really?
Following her trial, the defendant was found guilty of armed robbery, burglary, and murder, and was handed a life sentence with no chance of parole. Our next case is at the Union County Courthouse in Union, South Carolina. There, Jeremy and Christine Moody lavish each other with smiles as they await the court's decision. Both are neo-Nazis who have been accused of first-degree murder in the killing of Charles Parker and his wife, Gretchen. Believing they have a divine mandate to execute sex offenders, they targeted Parker, whom they did not know, after spotting his address in a sex offender's register. The Moody crime was uncovered through footage captured by the security cameras at Parker's house, and the prominent tattoos on Jeremy's head and neck. And the couple not only confessed to killing the Parkers, they also revealed their intention to kill more still. The couple requests the judge's mercy, asking him to grant the minimum sentence of 30 years. They both read their pleadings from a script. Jeremy goes first.
I know that what I've done is a sin. Please have mercy on Christine and I so we can still have a chance to grow old together as husband and wife.
then Christine.
The Bible clearly states thou shalt not kill. I'm sorry I broke that commandment, but I truly believe God has forgiven Jeremy and I. Your Honor, please see it fit that Jeremy and I are sentenced to the same sentence of 30 years.
After the remorseful comments from husband and wife, Judge Alford expresses zero confidence in the couple's ability to stick to their words.
Brutally killed these two people. They had nothing, no way to defend themselves.
He then awards them a life sentence.
I think it is the case that justice demands a life sentence.
The couple indulge in a goodbye kiss before they are each taken away. Both are barely out of the courtroom before the facade of remorse quickly wears off.
Pervert later. That's what child molesters get.
I think Jeremy and I would have done it again if given the opportunity.
Do you have any regrets?
I have no regrets.
Jeremy and Christine were given life sentences without a chance of parole. Next up is the 9th Judicial Court in Orlando, Florida, where Scott Nelson, a 55-year-old man, is undergoing trial with the kidnapping and first-degree murder of 56-year-old Jennifer Fulford. The court finds itself directly up against a cold-blooded killer who does not mince words in explaining the details.
Who killed Jennifer Fulford?
I did.
Prior to the murder of Fulford, Nelson had been no stranger to criminal trials, having spent 10 years of his life in jail for armed robbery before getting released on parole. He stated that he had been on the path to setting up a normal life when he lost his job.
I was starving to death on the streets of Winter Park. People don't give a damn about nobody.
And with it, all desire to coexist in a regular environment. In making its case, the prosecution asked that Nelson had felt pressured by the lifestyles of people who appeared to have it better than he did.
You kick a dog enough times, they tend to bite back. And really, they just don't care anymore.
Nelson confessed to having planned a home invasion with the aim of making away with sufficient cash to breach his parole.
To plan to use those items. You knew that somebody was going to pay for how you've been treated.
That is very accurate.
This footage shows him procuring items at a store. When questioned during the trial, Nelson takes it all in perfect stride, admitting each detail without hesitation.
You're going to force your way in.
No, the doorbell works better. She opened the door and let me in.
Did you take the comforter off the bed so that you could wrap Jennifer Fulford in it, seal her from the outside?
No, I didn't do that. Maybe she did.
He is disturbingly unbothered as he makes his remarks. But things get a little confusing as he becomes even darker.
Maybe she was cold.
Say that last line again?
I said maybe she was cold. I don't know. I don't know. She ended up cold.
After securing Fulford, Nelson did not take any items of note from the house. Instead, he used her ATM card to withdraw cash and drove her a distance of around 20 miles south of the city. She was still alive in the comforter as he went through the whole process. Nelson exposes the full breadth of his remorseless side, holding little back from the prosecution.
Why did you bind her feet with duct tape?
I imagined so she wouldn't walk away.
Nelson stabbed and abandoned Fulford's body in an isolated area covered in greenery. The defendant's crime was uncovered using surveillance camera footage from the ATM and DNA evidence. When he took the stand again, in the face of possible death sentence, he remained unnervingly down to earth.
I am a homicidal maniac.
He was sentenced to life in jail without parole for Fulford's murder.